Hello.
Hi. Okay. So, how have you guys been doing?
Terrible.
That's honest.
Yeah.
I'd rather you be honest. So, the last time we talked, y'all were, looking at not staying at the camper, that things weren't going so well with Stephanie.
Well, Stephanie bought it out from underneath us.
Yeah, I know. So, are y'all still living there?
We live in another camper. Yeah, we got help from a couple churches, and we own it. It's in our name.
Okay, where is it located?
It's in Wedowee,
Okay.
Wedowee Lake.
Okay, so that's Randolph County now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so far, it's the cheapest spot as far as to rent a lot is there.
Okay.
And I know we've talked about this before, and have you guys thought about maybe some employment, at least some short-term employment might help?
I think you want to speak. I think it's good for you to speak.
Well, I think that all of this started happening because of being missionaries, and they didn't like that.
Okay.
And then they started piling on false accusation after false accusation, and we are having a really hard time right now with the loss of our son, as well as being pulled off of our path. We're missionaries, we're serving God, and we're now forced to not serve God.
We're being told that we must convert in order to have our child.
And
that's not going to work for us.
We don't feel comfortable. I grieve all night, every night. I don't sleep because of two reasons. I don't have my son because I was serving God, and now I don't have my son and I can't serve God.
Understand?
And these types of things happen in the Bible, and history is just repeating itself as only what's happening.
But your son, are you going to be able to maintain your missionary status with your son on the road?
Did John the Baptist walk around with his children and the other prophets?
That's besides the point.
I think
we had every intention of making him safe. A child needs his mother. He needs breast milk. He needs warmth. He needs food. He needs love.
You still providing the food? I mean, are you still feeding him?
As much as I possibly can. I'm pumping and pumping and pumping every 2 hours, and
that pumping is tough.
It's very difficult. I started almost getting an infection, and I naturally got rid of that on my own.
That's good.
And it's very difficult, and I had a very, very bad day yesterday because we visited him.
It's the first time that we saw
he's having
psychological patterns of anxiety.
Major separation problems.
Yeah, he's crying a lot more. You go ahead.
He's very anxious. He's having a lot of nipple confusion, and as a mother, that is devastating.
Well, we may have to do some things like employment and housing.
That goes against my religious beliefs.
Okay.
Employment is against your religious beliefs.
Absolutely, because of what I was doing before this was serving God.
I understand that, but there are plenty of people that work at churches that.
Why do we need to work
what it is
when we have money coming in?
Okay.
We have an income.
I mean, that's not this. So that's why we walk to churches, because I ask preachers and pastors, why has their mind become passive? Why do they stand up and preach God's word inside of a man-made creation that is not of God? All it's doing is creating the passive mind for people to be absorbed by a possessive way of living and the possessive mind of possessions. Christ actually spoke of all these things, but nobody's listening because everybody's caught up in the addictions of possessions, and has left the idea of protecting creation. We're destroying it instead. So
there's a reason that there are things going on in the world right now with Dakota and everything else. People are finally starting to realize.
But what we have to do is let you know the things that you need to do in order to get your son back. That is our priority right now.
It's going against God.
It's going against God because
Having a place to live
Who
and
said we
means to
don't have
support
a
your
place to
child.
live?
what is wrong with God's
That's
nature?
what we're trying to
We
get
have
to.
places to live and we have income to take care of our child. That doesn't mean that we have to succumb and stop our path following God.
No one's asking you to stop your path following God.
Yes, they
No
are.
one has asked you to do that.
But in order to
We
start
already have
working,
stopped following God.
Yeah.
We've stopped.
You can spread your beliefs, whether you're working or not working, whether you're traveling or not traveling.
you either
You're
serve
not.
God or you're working. It's one of the two.
I have a philosophical disagreement with that. I think you can do both.
Okay, we can't serve two masters.
I think that you can. Are you saying all ministers that get paid
Yes.
serve two masters?
Yes,
They do.
they're all serving. You either serve nature or you serve possessions.
Okay, well, we will just have to agree to disagree.
That's fine.
That doesn't
Go
mean
in
that we
peace.
can't help you
know.
get your son back.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no enemy here.
Um,
All we're saying is our religious freedoms are being taken away right now. We have strong beliefs in God that we know that we need to do something
We
specific,
feel that if we
and
do,
everybody's going against that.
if we do not protect
Here's-
creation, there will be
here's
nowhere to live for
what
anybody.
Miss Wilkinson is trying to say. There is the quicker path to getting your child back, and there's the longer path to getting your child.
Yield to the devil.
No.
That's the quicker.
Here's where we are. Okay, you guys, if you don't have a stable living environment by the time we go to court, then we're going to be looking at, the judge is probably going to find your child dependent, and DHR is going to maintain custody of your child. Then we can appeal that. But the appellate court is still going to look at the fact that you don't have a stable living place for your child. And
In
then
whose eyes? God's eyes or man's eyes?
man's, because these are all men that are going to be judging you.
Right.
Man's law.
Here's the thing, if you do not want to be judged by men, then you're looking at giving up on your child.
No, it's not
We're
giving
not
up.
giving up on him.
We're not giving up
being
on God.
forced to choose between God and our child.
We're being forced to choose between the devil's law or God's law. Man's law is ultimately the devil's law.
And if we continue to not at least make some accommodations for making sure and giving DHR a place where they can make sure that your child is going to be safe,
You can't accommodate to the devil.
okay? Then if we don't do that, then you're looking at your child maybe being adopted by another family.
That's of the devil.
Okay, well,
We're
And
not
who
making
said-
that decision.
Can you imagine the world?
We were fine. We had all of the necessities for this child. A child needs warmth. A child needs nutrition. A child needs clothing in today's day and age.
so warmth. How are we going to provide, that was the first thing you said.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to provide for the child's warmth in the winter environment? I know that we're really hot right now, or
Plenty
We
of-
weren't planning on staying in Alabama for the winter. We were
Okay,
planning
we'll
on
go
going
south.
somewhere warm.
A natural migration process is
But
what,
now we're
is what we're
stuck
supposed
here.
to do.
well,
Okay, but I think we're going afield. Right now you have a camper, right?
Correct.
And you're staying in it.
Because we became weak
Hold on.
and we gave in.
I can't help you, Mr. Holland, if you won't let me talk, okay?
I know, but I think we're here today to tell y'all that that's right. Y'all can't help us. If you're not of God, you can't help us. That's what we're here today for, actually.
okay, so do you want me to withdraw as your attorney? Is that what you're asking?
This needs to be as far as not just my decisions. It needs to be whatever, you need to have decisions here.
Well, what does that mean exactly?
If we withdraw, then the judge can either appoint another attorney
Mm-hmm.
to your case, or if you wish to represent yourself, then the judge may not appoint another attorney.
Okay,
Or you
so,
could hire an attorney.
We don't have money.
well, it's fine.
God doesn't need
If,
money.
if we can't come to an agreement with you understanding that we are serving God and we can't back away from that, just as every single person that prophesized in the Bible, we're not saying we're doing that, but we are trying to serve God as best as we
Your
possibly
disciples.
can.
The way that Jesus asked the disciple, if you follow me, and leave
And
all your
we're not-
worldly
and we're
possessions. I
not-
get it.
Doing anything wrong. We're not criminals. We're not on drugs. We're not drinking alcohol. We love our
Oh.
child.
And all life.
We do. We do. We love all life. We love nature. We love you. We would do whatever it took. If you were in need, we would help you. We're loving people that just want to help, and we just want to serve God, and that's being taken away from us. We're staying in this camper every single night, and all I do is cry, and I feel separate from God, and I feel separate from my child, and
So what do you propose? How do you want this case to go? Because ultimately, y'all are the clients. Will do it. We are coming up on December 5th, less than a month away, to prepare for a trial where the judge is going to have to decide if your child is dependent, in need of DHR to step in and provide for this child.
So what the judge is gonna want to see is that you have a place to live, you do have a source of income, and, I mean, that's what you're being asked to do.
we had these things at the first court date. There's more to it than that. There's false accusations at hand here.
Here are the two problems that were at the shelter care. That, of course, the housing issue is more of a problem now because the housing wasn't a problem at shelter care. You had a place, okay? But there was the background issue, which now the fingerprints have figured out who you are. Thankfully, that issue is no longer.
So what happens with that, false accusations or defamation of character, if you will?
You can talk to a civil attorney if you'd like to pursue that, okay?
Who recommends the system? Who polices the police?
I'm trying to explain to you the issues with your case.
All right.
I mean, if you don't want to know that. The second issue was the fact that you had this depression that was not being treated.
I don't.
I understand. I represent them, so.
I know, but do you see how our child was taken off of my chest because of false accusations, and then they piled everything on him?
Did you go to the mental health center yesterday?
They canceled the
appointment.
Why?
On us.
We don't know. So we're supposed to go tomorrow, I believe.
They didn't
They
tell us.
rescheduled for tomorrow?
I called them to confirm, like I always do. We confirm our appointments,
Yeah,
and
that's great.
I called and I confirmed the appointment. They said, "Oh, your appointment's actually been canceled." Oh, really? Okay, great. So they weren't gonna tell us. They didn't call us, so they rescheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, good. Well, at least we've got that.
Well, I won't be going to that either.
Okay.
There's no need as far as you go to these appointments for medicines and or counseling. And I don't take the medicine anymore for depression.
I think what they had asked, and that you had said you wanted to do, was a psychiatric evaluation, where
it's not
they
a
would
psychiatrist.
hold on, where they would determine if you needed the medication or not, because you said there's no need for it anymore.
Right, I determine it with God. God is who allows me if I need it or if I don't need it. Am I not having this discussion with y'all plain as day here? All right.
We're just discussing what you agreed to do with DHR, you agreed to do with the.
We agreed to a psych evaluation, yeah.
You agreed to go to the mental health center, and you set up the appointment. And all we're asking is, are you still agreeing to do that or not agreeing to do that?
We're having conflicts internally. That's why we're bringing this to your attention, because we're having serious conflicts internally, because there was no issue. This child was loved. He was not abused. He was not
We
neglected.
will be arguing that.
So in the beginning, we wanted to be in compliance with our brothers and sisters, but we have figured out that our brothers and sisters are not trustworthy because their minds have become possessive and controlled, and we cannot trust our brothers and sisters. We have to trust our true brothers and sisters that follow God.
Because there is nobody else.
There is no God within this system. There is only separation and chaos. So this is how we have grown to what we are now. And this is just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Because what's going to happen is that y'all are going to enslave us into a system full of possessions.
I'm not enslaving you.
We're not enslaving you.
Possessions are enslavement. That's why I say that.
I'm not causing you to have possessions.
Y'all are not doing that, but it's the system that's upheld.
I understand, but I'm not part of the system. I am here to help you.
I know, but your job is within the system. That's trying to help us, guiding us within the system. This is pretty much what it is. The system is what I mean.
If you want to see me as part of that system, that's fine. But I'm not.
Well, we're all in it right now. We're even in it right now. Until we walk outside and we walk out in nature, then we're not in it. But right now, we're even in it. Because
That's like the Native Americans that are fighting for their land right now. They're getting sprayed in the face every single day right now in South Dakota, and
Just for standing up for
The
nature.
same thing is happening to us right now in a different way.
It's just in a different view, but it's all the devil. It's all the devil everywhere.
If I was able to find my Native American heritage, I'm part of the Micmac tribe, that my family back in the day was Micmac. I can't find proof of this, but if I was able to, I could fight this right now.
Well, and you could live on a
reservation.
It would make it a lot easier for us, yes, because
that
there would
would
be
be
more.
super helpful. Do you think that maybe one of the tribes might take you in?
Well, she would be more likely with her.
Yeah, I don't know what it would take. We started
You'd have to trace your heritage back, and they would have to agree to become involved.
Yeah. And I know that my tribe is up, ironically, where I grew up. I grew up in New England, and they're up in Maine. I lived in Massachusetts my whole life. So we'd have to go there.
Then you don't get to see your son for you.
Correct.
Right. And then if we give in to man's law, then how is God going to use us to awaken others to what is corrupted and what is not of God?
I think that God's going to use this.
God's
for
going to
you.
use this.
Can you imagine?
He's going to use you and this.
Can you imagine what's being done for the pipeline whenever people say in this view, whenever we say we were just serving God and protecting nature, and they kidnapped our child falsely? It's going to be, we're talking about oil with the pipeline. We're now, this is completely different. Now we're talking about children and family and God.
And we don't mean any harm by saying what we say. We're, like I said, we're loving people. We're not attacking you. I hope it doesn't come across that way. We're very passionate about, we love God. We're very passionate.
And we love God the way God was 2,000 years ago.
We probably also need to talk about, what you said actually reminded me. I've been advised that you guys have made some post, I don't know which of you made a post, that was in violation of the court order.
Like
that
what?
Talked about your child being in the custody of DHR.
It was the Anderson post that they've already done. It was before the gag order.
You haven't posted anything on Facebook?
Yeah, but it was the Anderson post, but they posted before the
gag. My understanding that it was either your page or your page.
My page was deleted.
It's
so
my
it would
page.
be your page. What have you talked about on there?
The Anderson post is what I posted.
No, this was not a repost of another.
Let's get it up.
Yeah,
let's find out.
Let's pull it up real quick.
Okay.
If you can get it in here, I'll tell you, these walls, you can't get any reception.
Okay. Let's see. And it might be some links that are showing the corruption of it by a senator that came forward, and they actually murdered her because she came forward about CPS and how corrupt they are.
Okay.
So, I mean, that could be one of them. But
No,
that's nothing to do with.
I don't think it's anything that you repost is not going to be the problem. I think the problem is anything you type in there that says my child's in DHR's custody.
I've never said that.
Let me see.
Who's that look through? Might have to hit somewhere it says our more recent post.
Yeah, that's what I.
Okay. No, when you. Is the word the state illegal to be used? That's what they accused us of being. That's who they accused us of being, is those people. And that was all before the gag order.
The gag order.
No,
that was it. That was at the hospital.
The gag order.
Hold on. The gag order was entered the beginning of October. This is a post of October 20th. Read that.
No, well, what I'm trying to say is that
Yeah.
all of those false accusations happened before the gag order. My entire family knew about that the day he was born.
Right.
So people already know about it.
So this is what the investigating officer said that we were before the gag order.
The investigating officer walked into the
But
hospital.
since the gag order, you are not supposed to post anything or talk about it. whether the
So,
event occurred before the gag order was issued or not. From the date of the gag order, you're not supposed to post anything or talk about to people outside
well, you know what? They didn't
about
even,
what was going on.
but nobody
in the
has even
case.
mentioned this, you see. We are the ones that found out. Nobody even mentioned it in court. Nobody even mentioned these two people, except for the investigating officer.
Investigating officer did. That's how we knew that we were being accused
Yeah.
of being these humans that we're not. She came into the hospital room and asked me if I was Daniela Ruiz and why I'm lying.
See, this is just the reason why they're trying to do this is because these are the false accusations that can really destroy them, so to speak, if you want to say it like that. So that's why they're probably trying to hit me on this.
Who's trying to hit you on that?
Whoever is claiming that this or trying to.
Well, we're saying that you can't post things like that. It's
You
a
need to
violation of
remove
the
it
gag order.
before the court finds out. And what I'm trying to say is just take that post down because it's in violation of the law and it's violation of the court's order and is going to hamper your ability to get your child back. When you say things like this, it is causing you not to get your child back faster.
It's deleted.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll stick to what I know is God's law and speak of God and how things work, and I won't.
Don't talk anything about CPS investigating you or your child being in custody of DHR. If you just stay away from, because it's for your child's protection, so that when somebody looks back in.
That's not protecting our child. What's protecting our child is us fighting for him.
It is to protect him from him being associated as a child who was in foster care.
All right, well then how are we to get?
Because hopefully you guys will get him back. He will live a very healthy and productive life.
He's already been damaged.
Well,
from what's happened now, he's been damaged.
Are you giving up on him?
No, we are not.
What I'm saying
we're doing
is
the exact
that
opposite.
hopefully he will live a very long life that is happy and fruitful once you get him back.
We're trying to show y'all that y'all
if
should.
These posts and everything, you don't want him to have to remember being in foster care.
Oh no, we do.
We need him to know.
No, we need him to know that we fought for him and that this was wrong.
Is to protect DHR and DHR only.
Ma'am, it's to protect your child.
How is it protecting your child?
Dependency cases by law are confidential.
But that's their law. This is not protecting him in any way. We need people to come together and love.
We need people to come help us.
It is manslaughter. It is the
which
second
we are
law.
all under as residents of the United States.
That's right.
Okay.
So we cannot do anything about the fact that by law, juvenile cases, dependency cases are confidential to protect the child.
Well, I can tell you right now that everything that I talked to my family about at the hospital when he was taken far before the gag order, my family's in an uproar right now. So there's nothing I can do about that.
Why are they in an uproar?
Because our child's taken away from serving God. We were serving God.
So we can't stop if they say anything.
Correct.
Well, that would be something that a criminal charge will be put out against them, not you. So, hey, I'm trying to get you guys charged.
We're trying to keep you guys from having a criminal charge for violating the gag order, which will set you back as far as getting your son back. The paramount thing is getting your son back.
All right, let me ask you this
and
then.
that's what we're trying to do.
Is that the paramount thing?
Yeah, but it's to do it with God, though. It's to do it with God.
What's the most important thing here?
Is to get our child back with God. And allow God to work however God needs to work, not yield to the devil.
It is, and I need to know so that I know how to go with this case, okay?
Yeah.
Because, you have to have priorities, and I need to know what's most important and what's lesser important. Is getting your child back, or the way that you're interpreting God's word?
Not interpreting God's word. We know that man's law was here put after God, so. It's not an interpretation.
The Bible talks about God's word and man's law, and says that you are to follow man's law.
No, it does not.
Yes, actually it does.
Where?
And you also know that the Bible.
I can go get the Bible right now.
Okay. It's been misinterpreted and it has been altered by the Vatican.
Our priority is to get your son back for you.
Mhm.
Okay. We need to have the same priority. We need to be on the same.
I just need to know what you're telling me is more important. Most important.
There is no more important. God is the utmost importance. Our son is of the utmost importance. But if man is telling us that we can't have our son because of following God,
Because
then that's not
man
on
has
us.
become possessed from God, then that's not our, we
They're
can't.
not telling you that you can't follow God.
You just said we need to
Or
make a
that you
choice
can't be
between God and our
missionaries.
We're
sin.
being forced to
We did.
convert, is what it is. We're being forced to
Yeah.
convert.
You're being asked to have a place to live,
That's conversion.
shelter for your child.
Not saying that you have to live there every day. You can go and
Forever.
live wherever. I mean, you can sleep in a sleeping bag outside if you want. You don't even have to have a sleeping bag. You can go and sleep outside.
And then they'll come back
Well,
and take him
right.
again.
But you're gonna have to have somewhere that he can have shelter.
So what?
But if you go out and live in the backyard, hey, that's your thing.
Right.
But
It's
if you're not having to live in that structure, but you do have to have a structure that is available to keep
Can
your
you
child
see the
safe.
idiocracy in that? Can you see the idiocracy in the rational
I'm
mind
just
creating
trying to help you get your son back.
know
You've
that.
told me every time we've talked that getting your son back was your main priority.
Yeah, I'm trying to show you that's what you're
Feeling
fighting
that
for.
that is not the priority right now.
I'm trying to show you that you're serving the wrong person. You're serving a system that is not of God. That's all I'm doing.
We don't have any choice
Yeah.
but to do that to help you get your son back.
You don't have
You
any
have a
choice
choice.
because
There's always a
you
choice.
need money to live in the system.
No, ma'am. I'm not talking about money at all. I'm talking about we have to go within the parameters of what the court says that you need to have for your child. It's not about money.
Are you volunteering?
It's not about money, Ms. Holm. It's about
It's always about
you need
money
a
in the
shelter
system.
to get your son back. You need income, which you have through your disability. Okay? They had asked that you go to mental health for an evaluation for medication purposes, which would be the psychiatric
Is that
evaluation.
their
That's what
business?
they've asked.
Is that their
If
business?
you don't want to do it, you don't do it. I mean, you just tell us you're not going to do it, and
Is
we
it-
won't do it.
Is it these
Can you
strangers?
give me the address where your camper is? The GAL wanted to come out and see your camper.
Who's the
And
GAO?
Allison Miller.
Yeah.
She wants to come out to your home, see your camper. Can you tell me where it is?
So you need to decide now. It's either or that. What we talked about. So you be the one to decide. It's not this or the child. It's either God or the devil.
Right,
They're
I
trying
understand.
to choose between the system or the child and what they're doing. But it's either God or the devil. So you have to choose.
Why do I have to choose?
Or no, I mean I'm choosing too. It's just I'm trying to
So
say that
do
you're in
you-
control. Is what I'm trying to
You
say.
object to the guardian ad litem coming out to see a camper? Is that what you're saying?
It's none of her
We're-
business.
Well, we're fixing to sell the camper and go back to serving God.
So she doesn't need to come see the camper.
Well, there will be no camper, you see, because we're giving the money back to the church, and
we can't. We can't. It's
we're gonna tell everybody that our
we're
child was
becoming-
taken from or kidnapped from us.
because he was.
Just by
and
walking.
He was perfectly safe and loved and had everything that he ever needed.
I'm trying to get your child back by December 5th.
Well, we're trying to do
So
it in God's way,
He
not
should
in the
never
law.
have been taken to begin with. And
I can't go back and
We can't
change
go
the
back.
past. I can
Right.
just change the future. If you want your child with you, then I'm trying to get everything. You
You're
have
trying
a
to use
camper.
the same system that kidnapped our child is what you're doing.
No,
Yes.
I'm just trying
It
to
really
get
is.
somebody out there to see
What
that
do
you
you
have a
want us
safe
to do?
place.
What do you want us to do to help you? What
Well,
can we
I don't
do?
think there's any way y'all can help us unless y'all stand next to us and fight up against this system that has stolen our child and showing that the system is faulty and wrong.
Right, from the beginning,
That's the only way that you could help
we
us.
have felt that you're not fighting for us. You're just telling us to comply with the system that kidnapped our son to begin with, when there was no just cause to begin with.
You were at the hearing. We had the hearing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Do
we
you
presented
feel like we
everything.
fought for you at the hearing?
No,
Okay.
we don't.
Then-
And there are lawyers that fight DHR.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and get one of those?
We don't want one of those. We don't want. We don't need.
If you don't
one of
trust
those.
us, then we
If
can't
you
help
don't
It's not
feel
about.
like
It's not
I
about
did,
trust.
That's
as
what
you're
you're
saying.
Well, it's always about trust. I guess I should say. I think more of it is it's about the perception of what law we need to follow. I think it's more of what we have going on here, and
If you don't feel like we're doing a good job for you, if you don't feel like we've done a good job at the hearing, if you don't feel confident with us standing next to you going into that December 5th hearing, then you need another attorney. Because here's the thing, I don't want you to get to December 3rd and decide you want another attorney, and then you go into that trial on December 5th with somebody that doesn't know your case.
We need for y'all to fight for us to be natural.
And if you can't do that, then
I can't argue for you to get your child back when you don't have a place to live. It won't work, is what we're saying. We could go in there and say that people have lived in nature since time began and all that, but it's not going to get your child back. That's what we're trying to tell you.
That means it's a faulty system.
And it may be a faulty system.
But it's a faulty system that may keep your child.
As long as you convert.
And not follow God anymore.
Yeah.
No.
That is what it is.
No.
You keep saying no, but that is what it is.
It's because you're trying. You came into this meeting with this thought that I am not wanting you to follow God. You came into this meeting thinking that I'm against your religion. That's not correct. You're not listening to me because you've got these blinders on that you want to make me something that I'm not. You want to make me part of a system that you hate so that you can hate me.
No,
I'm tired of you looking at everything with these blinders on. I mean, if you don't trust me, we don't need to have a legal relationship.
Right.
If you do, then you need to listen to me with an open mind and not with this blinder that you somehow distrust me. If these blinders are that you distrust me, then go find a lawyer that lives out in nature and does not live in a house, that does not work in a building. Find that person.
Yeah.
We don't want you to think that we're attacking you. We don't.
I feel attacked.
We don't hate you.
Well, it's love. It's just we're trying to show you.
It did not feel like love.
But everything we say to you, you come back at us that we're corrupt because we're part of the system.
We're saying we're trying to show you that the system is corrupt, and the possessions of it is what creates the possessive mind.
Do I think that the system is great? No, I don't. I fight against it every day. Ms. Wilkinson fights against it every day. We try to get kids out of foster care, not put them in foster care. We try to get kids back with their family every single day. That is what we have devoted our life to, is trying to get children out of foster homes and in with their parents. Mm-hmm. That's what we do every single day. That's what we try to do. Mm-hmm.
So I think what's happened is that it's just God's law is just, man's law is not going to work good enough to fight for God. I think that's where we're at right now.
Okay, but you have to understand that we are not, our job is not to fight for God, our job is to fight for your son. And
our job is to fight for God, and ultimately as with our son, yeah. That's our job. That should be everybody's job, but that's what's wrong with the world today, is that we've become more possessive.
And the devil's going to pervert it back on us to make it look like we don't love our son, when it's just...
Nobody in this room or anywhere has said that you don't love your son.
Every day I am a grieving mother, every single day. But I'm also grieving because I'm not serving God.
It's because
and
we don't
if
fear.
I'm not serving God, I'm not going to be protected by God to have our child how he should be.
God needs people to stand strong so that he can use their pain and suffer for the others through their guilt to find God and come away from man's system back to God. So if we are to yield to the devil, then how can God use us?
And the problem is people don't realize who the devil is, so that's where the confusion
It says it right there in the Bible that people are going to think that bad is good. They're not going to know in the end days, because the possessive mind is what creates the confusion and chaos, to where people have chosen possessions over God's creation, and that's where the confusion comes into play. So I guess we just need to understand that we are all brothers and sisters, and we do love y'all. It can feel like an attack because you're trying to uphold man's law when we're trying to say that God's law is greater. So sometimes it can feel like an attack, and that's not
greater. But you have to abide by both.
You really don't. That's the devil's illusion.
In order to get your child back, you do.
I know, but that's the devil's illusion that the devil creates.
Be right back. That may be, but in order to get your son back, you are going to have to do the things that you've been asked to do, which is have a place for him to be, which would be the camper, but we understand that you say now that you're going to sell that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who's to say you could go to mental health for that appointment, and they could say they don't feel that you need medication, and then that issue is solved.
Right, but that's all submitting to the devil. I'm fine. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't need it.
They may say that.
Right, but.
And then that issue is not an issue anymore.
But why test it? Why must I be tested?
To get your son back.
I know that.
I feel like we're talking in circles. I understand that you have your religious beliefs. Everyone is entitled to their religious beliefs. that was not the basis for, if you listened at the hearing, that was not the basis
Was the child in harm?
for that.
Was the child in harm?
The judge determined that she felt he
Not
was.
because of my psychological evaluation, it was because of the false accusations. They wanted to know my fingerprints. That was the main thing of it.
But you can settle the issue of the psychiatric evaluation
No, they're just going to use
by
that against
going,
us.
and if the doctor says that you don't need medication, then that issue is a non-issue.
Why does the doctor need to determine who's never met him, who doesn't know him, who doesn't know?
Because a prior doctor determined that he needed it,
For depression.
and he took himself off of it without the advice of a
Because
doctor.
he's smart enough.
Is that
I
illegal?
understand.
Is that illegal?
No, it is not illegal.
Because otherwise it'd have to be taking away millions and millions of children from parents that
You're
are on
not
depression.
listening
No,
to
you're
what
not.
I'm trying to tell you.
We are listening.
Okay.
It's just you're not seeing
You
the.
came off against medical advice. Whether you felt you needed it or not, that is your personal decision. I'm not saying it's wrong or right.
And
Okay?
they only know
I'm
that
not saying
because
it's
he
right
was
or wrong.
honest.
Yes.
He could have lied and said, I'm still taking the medication and we'd be fine now.
The other thing too is I understand that your income comes from your disability check, correct? If you're no longer under the care of a psychiatrist and receiving that medication, that's going to possibly impact your receipt of that check.
I was never told that would.
It was based on your depression, correct? Or your
No,
mental health?
it was not.
Was it based on a physical disability or a mental
Based
health?
yeah, it was a mental, I guess, disability at the time, yeah.
Okay, so if you're not under the care of a doctor and receiving medication for that, when they review it, they could stop that check.
It is what it is.
You're right.
I would rather.
I totally agree.
I'd
It is what
rather
it is.
be-
But what I'm saying is, if you go to that evaluation, the doctor says he thinks you're fine, then that's a non-issue. It's done. They can't hold that against you anymore.
They can't hold anything against us.
Yeah, because we haven't done anything wrong.
Nothing has been done wrong.
You
He
see?
was honest.
He was honest.
If he lied and said, yeah, I'm taking my medication, they wouldn't have that against him.
We were just following y'all's system and got us in trouble. Now we're going back to
I
God.
resent that you say y'all's system.
Well, okay.
My job is to work for, actually specifically,
You're right.
Danielle.
You're right. I shouldn't
And
be
what we're doing
personal
is
level.
we're trying to tell you
Yeah.
that you can have the religious beliefs you want to have. Nobody has said that you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to say that you can't, because religious beliefs are personal and individual to each person, is my belief. Okay? I'm not saying that your beliefs are wrong.
What I'm saying is that we're
Mine
following
are
the system.
different.
It got us in trouble.
That doesn't mean that mine are wrong or yours are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They're different. Okay? What I'm telling you is, and you can say society is corrupt, you can say that the system is corrupt. I'm not going to disagree with any of that because there's corruption everywhere. I'm not going to disagree.
What we say is
Okay?
that this.
But what I'm trying to tell you is there are basic things that the corrupt system asks you to have in order to get your son back.
Mm-hmm.
And we're telling you what those things are. If you have those things in place, you will get your son back. If you don't, I don't know. It will at least take longer.
Do you understand what you're saying? No, you're saying that it's okay to yield to a corrupt system.
In order
I
to
don't
have,
see it. Can you understand that I don't see it that way?
right now I
The
feel,
system is separate.
Can you understand that I don't see it that way?
We can understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can agree to disagree all day long. And Ms. Argo and I mean, I have been doing dependency work for 18 years and it's all I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So my job is to get your child back for you. Back in your arms at night, all day, and never to leave you again. That is my job.
All right. Can you see?
And we will fight for you, but you have to give us something to fight with.
We are.
Okay?
We're giving you the power
if
of God.
we go into that hearing and your situation is the same as it was at the shelter care hearing, then nothing has changed to change the judge's mind to return your son to you. Okay? Let me finish, okay?
mm-hmm.
And like Ms. Argo said, if the judge decides against us, we can appeal it. Absolutely. But that is a process that will take at least 6 more months.
Mm-hmm.
I want your child home with you as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever that home is, whether it's inside, outside, Alabama, wherever. My job is to get your son back with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't live in a house for you, okay? I can't go to mental health for you. You're going to have to do some of these things that the state, the system, whatever you want to call it, has requested that you do. Even if it does not have to be forever either. Okay? Once you get your son back and you get custody back, you can live how you see fit.
That's not exactly true.
But we're
Until
trying
they
to
come
get.
back
Well, you say
together.
you're not going to stay in Alabama. You're not going to stay in this area.
We'll just be attacked again for that. They'll just come and attack us
Who's
again.
going to come and attack you?
The CPS once again, another state, because we'll be living, trying to live more natural.
Only if
once
someone
again.
turns you in.
That's right. So it's never going to stop. You see?
And people
never
will
stop.
turn us in. It's just going to keep going
So
and
we might
going
as well
and
just
going.
begin here.
There's something greater going on here that people don't understand. There's something much, much bigger. That's why Dakota is happening right now. That's why.
But Dakota has nothing to do with getting your son back in your home.
Oh, it has plenty to do, because it has to do with people awakening to who God is, to protect nature.
If you want your son back, the fastest way is to have some sort of shelter.
The devil gives accusations
Okay.
and stipulations.
And I'm not the devil, Mr. Holman. If you feel that way, I need to withdraw.
I'm not saying that you're the devil.
You said it every single time as our go.
I speak in third person. I speak in third person in the sense of that sometimes we can give reasonings and we don't understand, but it's the devil that gives stipulations. God doesn't, in the sense of how you can live within nature. Is all I'm saying.
God doesn't think that you should protect your child.
God thinks that you can protect nature, which is protecting your child, but God's way, not the devil's way.
But you're going to have to make some concessions in the immediate future in order to have long-term and spread God's word as you want to.
We're going to have to be okay with sacrificing our child for God is what's going to happen, just like Abraham.
And Hannah.
Yeah.
No one's asking you to sacrifice your
yes,
child.
y'all are.
For God.
Y'all are saying that y'all are forcing us to keep serving God.
I'm not forcing you to do anything, Mr. Holm. If you want to sell the camper and live in the woods, go right ahead.
Well, we're going to do that. We're going to serve God, and then y'all are going to, or the system, I'm sorry, not y'all. The system is going to take away our child because we were just serving God. That's what's going to happen.
No, they're going to take away your child because you have nowhere to live.
But we do. We live in nature with God. That's serving God.
And we have a 10-person canvas tent that we can use with
just like
heaters
people 2,000 years
and
ago.
everything else.
People 2,000 years ago, they
didn't have heaters in camp.
Well, not heaters.
Just
yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
So I mean, we have.
There can be no heaters.
Huh?
There can be no heaters. It's got to be strictly how they lived 2,000 years ago.
But what I'm saying is, we had those things.
Well, it doesn't matter what we had or what we have anymore now. Now it's just about which way do we go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why we're here today, I guess, is to
Sorry about that.
is the understanding that everything okay. All right. I guess the best thing for us to do is so that we could leave in like peace or whatever, and in the understanding that that right now there's a different perception of how it should go because there's two forms of law here, and I guess the best way for us to handle this is just understand that before any of the laws we were all spiritual brothers and sisters, and that we want to leave it with the understanding that we do love y'all, and there's no chaos here. And I think the reason why we came here today is to conceal our mission to keep serving God.
And that doesn't mean we're giving up on our son, because we're going to stand outside and fight for our son and do what it takes to fight for our son. And the only way to serve God is to expose evil. That's the only way to do it.
You can't fight it. You can't fight it with fists. You have to stand up and use knowledge to expose God.
So are you saying
to expose
that you
the
no
devil.
longer want us to represent you? Because if that's the case, that's fine. There will be no hard feelings. We can leave this room, and still wish you the best.
But the only way that
you need to be comfortable with who is representing you.
Right.
If you are not comfortable with us, then you need someone else. And there will be, There will be no hard feelings.
It's
I
not
don't want
that
you to
it's
think that.
you as Miss Wilkinson or you as Miss Argo. It's not you.
Do you just think that maybe somebody else might fight harder for you?
No, we
No.
don't think that
Yeah,
either.
okay.
We don't think that
So
any.
you want to represent yourselves.
That might
I think that's going to be it.
it
I think
it might have to be that unless somebody is inspired by God himself to come to
But
come
then
here
that
and-
lawyer's going to have to go against his own practices, his or her own practices, and we really don't see that happening. So we're going to have to stand in for ourselves and speak God's law.
Okay.
We
I'll
under-
file the
we-
motion to
we
withdraw today.
understand that. I will too. And there are no hard feelings. I wish
Okay.
you nothing more than to have your son in your arms, because I can't imagine. I can say that I understand, but I don't.
And
She
it's very
cries every single night. I have to sit
I
there and
will
watch her crying and all
and I hope that at some time in the future that you can see that it's not me choosing my son versus God. I'm being forced because I have such love and such strong belief in God and such love for all of humanity that even Jesus himself said sometimes you have to leave one to save many. And
Well, wait, if all
I
these
can understand and accept that you feel that way, but I don't agree with
if all these
our choice.
possessions,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
If all
It
these
is your
pos-
choice, and I accept and understand that that's how you feel.
if all these possessions were needed for God, it would have been here for God 2,000 years ago. God's word was good 2,000 years ago. It is only the mind of man and woman that has become corrupt through a possessive environment within God. So, to live freely for God 2,000 years ago is the same to be with God today. It is just the perception of that all this is needed. But all this that is needed is ultimately destroying God's creation. So that is what must be learned. That's all we're saying.
Okay. Like we said, we have no hard feelings. We wish you the best, but we will withdraw today and let the judge know that you wish to represent yourselves, which you are perfectly entitled to do. And we will send you a copy of that. Still the same Arizona address to send mail to? Okay.
There is an ISP next Thursday afternoon. If the court has allowed us to withdraw by that point, which I anticipate she will, then you guys will still need to be at the meeting, but we will not be there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But we will let anybody that she appoints, I will let her know your wishes to represent yourself. If she appoints someone else to represent you, then that person will probably be at that meeting.
And Miss Miller, who is the guardian ad litem for your son, will be there. She will still be appointed.
And
Now-
just to pass along, that she did want to see if y'all had somewhere that you were residing, so that she could report back to the court that it seemed safe to the guardian ad litem. She wanted that opportunity to come out and see you guys at your camper, and y'all can arrange that with her if you want
I
to.
actually had emailed her last week, so I have her email address.
And the purpose of her coming out would be to say that, to see wherever you're living and say that she felt it was safe, or tell you if anything she felt was not unsafe or appropriate, that she would be
But
able
we
to
don't
tell
want to
you
be
that.
deceptive because we're selling it. So
Yeah.
we don't want to
And
be
you can tell
deceptive.
her that she can come see the tent where you're living, whatever. But her job is to advocate for your son. And so she would want to see where you were living to see if she felt it was a safe environment, and to be able to report to the court. If she did not feel it was safe, she would be able to tell you what she felt you needed to do to make it safe, in order for her to be able to feel like she could tell the court that she felt it was safe.
Okay. All right.
Well, I can't stress enough that it's not a personal attack on you. We just feel it's just a conflict. I can't go against God. This doesn't mean I'm going against my son. It just means I'm gonna have to fight harder and hope that and pray and God is going to use us.
God gave us the environment of creation, and all you need is love.
And we believe that God is going to use us not only for our son, but for many kids that are taken away unjustly. we really feel that there is going to be a time very soon where people start realizing the corruption within this organization, specifically DHR. Um, there is a lot going on within DHR that is completely evil and ungodly, and there is going to come a time very soon where we're going to be standing up against it, and other children are going to be saved. And we feel like our child is going to be one of those children that are going to be saved, but we need to save many. And this all comes with complete love for all life, children,
As one.
and
But in order for people to come together as one, it must be on the common ground of God and not man. You see, man created possessions, so there will be no oneness found within possessions. Nothing but war and chaos will be found, and that's why we have war and chaos. So we must find each other once again back in God's creation, away from the possessive mind of man that created. I say man because it was man's dominance and power hungry for taking over the lands is what started this room, if you will. Not this room in general, but the idea of it, of houses and cars and technology, because all technology is derived from war. The selfishness to dominate another is why technology has been formed. All right.
so because of all of this, people are not going to like us, they're going to hate us, they're going to think that we're crazy, but all we're doing is serving God and fighting for our child with God.
People hated Jesus, and he was speaking truth against the Romans and the system, which is the system. And the Pontius Pilate knew he didn't even agree with it, and nor did the Roman army, some of the Roman army, but they were just doing their job, and they watched him get murdered because he was trying to show this. So we're not going to back down, and if they murder us, they murder us. Is the way we view it, the same way.
And we understand that that's how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we can get those filed today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll send you a copy to that address.
Okay.
And I may wait though and see what the judge orders, and so I can do it all at one time and let you know if the judge is ordering a replacement counsel or if she's going to allow you to represent yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, there are two ways for me to file the motion to withdraw, and I want to make sure that y'all are clear on which way you want it filed. There's a way that I can file it that you guys have desired to represent yourself, or I can just file it that we just don't agree and can't represent you anymore. If we file it that way, she's likely to appoint another attorney to represent you.
So what we need to make sure that...
Do you want me to file it to make sure that she knows that you guys want to represent yourselves?
Yeah, we want to represent ourselves because it's
going to be very difficult to find any lawyer that has our belief system and mindset, because if they did, they wouldn't be a lawyer. This is nothing against being a lawyer. I'm just
the only way to protect creation is to fight with God's law, not man's law. You can't protect creation with man's law. It's just no way to do it.
And we disagree, but
it would be working, but it's not. The only way you can stand up for it is to actually stand up for it and not become passive and live a little bit of the way of it. You have to completely go against it.
I think you can abide by man's law and you can abide by God's law, and I do that.
You can't defeat the devil by going to work for the devil. Is the terminology that I use.
Work for the devil.
Well, man's law in a sense goes against God's law.
I don't believe the Bible says that.
All right. Well, that's
differences
in perception. I know.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, it's just difference in perception. It's all right. It's like I said, we come in peace. It's okay to have different views and still be friends. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean and love one another. It just means growth is all. So.
Okay. We can get this filed today.
Yep.
And one thing I just wanted to mention real quick was that I come from a background of success. I was successful at one point in my life. I have 3 bachelor's degrees in psychology, sociology, biology. I was an RN. I was a mental health counselor for children and adolescents at a mental psych ward from the state, go figure. I was a special needs teacher. I had many different experiences, making lots of money. I had my own house. I have a car still. I had everything that anybody could ever need or want in the system.
And this is what people are going to see.
I choose to not have it because I'm following God, and I felt completely disconnected from God while living in the system, while having all of those jobs. I was a nurse taking care of patients, and I felt like
The
I
corruption
was
of their
killing
jobs.
them. I felt like injecting them and giving them medications every single day. I felt disgusted with myself. I couldn't live doing that anymore. I worked at a mental health facility for kids, pediatrics and adolescents, and every single day I went home crying because these kids were shoved in rooms by the state and restrained and locked in rooms and they would be smudging poop all over the place because they were screaming out for help because
They wanted love and they wanted to be
wanted
outside.
love. They wanted to be outside. They never got to go outside. They were locked in these facilities. 1 5-year-old boy, his parents were in jail and he had no family, so they shoved him in a mental health facility. And every single day he clung to me, begging me, crying to adopt him. And I had to go home every single day living with that pain, and I couldn't work there anymore because I wasn't helping these kids. I was just becoming passive, sitting there and watching these kids that I couldn't do anything for other than just sit there for 8 hours and then go home and cry about them.
So it comes to a point where your intentions in life could be good because deep down you're a good person, but sometimes we have to realize, we speak of environments, we have to realize that it's actually the root of the problem is the environment. DHR says that they want us to check out the environment of us, but the environment that is wrong for the entire species is possessions in nature, you see. And sometimes
locking kids inside of buildings, not allowing them to come outside.
So sometimes through our own intentions and how we might have grew up over here in these possession-filled world, we have to realize that, hey, this is the root of the problem. And we need to take our same intentions and our same willpower of love back over here to creation and fight for it once again. Is all we're saying.
So I just wanted to mention that because it's not like I come from a background of nothing. I had all of the needs and wants, and I had the experiences and the successes and the education and everything, and I choose to stand up for what's right. I can no longer go back in time and have these jobs that I saw every single day destroying children. They were killing them. And now I believe that God has called me to fight for children, and ironically my child's taken from me, and I now have to fight for him through God, and hoping that our story will get out there and our story will save other children who are taken by DHR unjustly. Now DHR can take children that are in bad homes and help them and help families, but a lot of the times, especially nowadays when it's closer to the end times, in our opinion, they're taking children for no reason. And it's becoming corrupt, and we're here now to fight that.
The last post on my Facebook page is a senator that was coming out against CPS.
I actually emailed that to you.
They murdered her. They murdered her for telling the truth, and this is a senator, somebody at the top of the system that y'all, I say y'all, but I mean y'all work in the system as lawyers, but she would be considered at the top level of y'all.
Yeah, we work against that system.
You work against this? All right.
Yep.
All
We
right.
work against that system.
Okay. So then y'all are true brothers and sisters and within that system, just like she is. All right.
I'll send you this, and this is it. Okay, keep it. And the best of luck to you. Okay. I give hugs.
Yes,
so-
me too. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
The best of luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Straight. Yeah, go left. I'm not used to their office. Yeah.
Tell us all about that.
We appreciate that, and we understand. It's not that we don't understand, we just disagree.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I told you my lawyer was the devil.
One will be taken and one will be not, and one will be left. She might be saved and yours won't be.
Yeah, because mine's possessed by the devil.
Let's hurry up and go before she comes out.
She can't come